during the year 1968 that the leadership of the Adventist denomination at their headquarters on the edge of Washington, D.C., began a renewed interest in the development of a shortwave network for the broadcast of gospel programming. At the time, Dr. Walter Scragg, born in New Zealand of Australian parents, was serving in the leadership of the communication department. Ray Robinson picks up the story from there.
Thanks, Jeff. 3 years later, the newly married American couple Alan and Andrea Steele were invited to establish their home in Lisbon, Portugal, where they inaugurated the first official broadcast from what soon became identified as Adventist World Radio. Their first shortwave broadcast was over the 250 kilowatt transmitter number 3 at Radio Trans Europe at Sines in Portugal on Friday evening, October the 1st, 1971, in a service beam to Eastern Europe in the 31-meter band. A master plan for world coverage on shortwave that was developed during this era called for a network of 4 stations located in Europe, the Western Pacific, Central America, and Africa. A lengthy period of intense research was entered into in an endeavor to obtain a suitable transmitter location in the Pacific-Asian arena, and several different locations were given serious consideration. Among the tentative locations under consideration were Sri Lanka, the Maldives Islands, Philippines, South Korea, Hawaii, Palau, and Guam. And finally, Guam was chosen, and the Steele family, now well experienced in the international shortwave world, were invited to relocate to Guam. The first temporary office for the new AWR shortwave station on Guam was in a small section of the Adventist Mission Office in Agana. In September 1984, the FCC in Washington, D.C. issued a construction permit for the new shortwave station that would be located on 40 acres of coastal land at Fakpi Point on the island's west coast. This property was on the downward slope of Mount Lamlam, the highest mountain on the island of Guam. Work began at the new property on Wednesday, September the 11th, 1985, when a bulldozer began to smooth a new access roadway, Torres Adventista, off of Island Highway 2. 1 month later, on Friday, October the 11th, a groundbreaking ceremony was held at the yet undeveloped property with the official participation of the island governor, His Excellency Ricardo Bordalo. At this stage, the Steeles transferred the office function of Adventist World Radio to a house in Agat, the Pink House, 1 mile from the radio station itself. In addition, the new Guam station was designated as AWR Asia, and the original AWR Asia in Pune, India, was redesignated as AWR Southern Asia. 2 years later, on January the 18th, 1987, the new radio station was dedicated in an official ceremony in which the new island governor, His Excellency Joseph Ada, participated. Nearly 500 people attended this gala function, including several denominational leaders from the world headquarters in Washington, D.C. Official visitors from the city of Agana arrived in a long motorcade that was escorted by local police on motorcycles. The parade ground in front of the gleaming white transmitter building was adorned with colourful fluttering flags from 22 countries, representing the territories that will be in the main coverage area of this new shortwave station. Among the grand musical items that were presented on the day of dedication were renderings from the Voice of Prophecy choir that flew in from South Korea and a brass ensemble from Agana. The Korean choir also performed in special ceremonies at Government House, and also in the Korean Presbyterian Church in Agana. The first 2 transmitters installed at AWR Fakpi Point were manufactured in France by Thomson CSF. They were 100 kilowatt models TRE 2311P. Transmitter number 1 was hardwired to antenna number 1, a TCI curtain model 611, and transmitter number 2 was hardwired to a similar curtain number 3. Many possible call signs, mostly some form of an acronym, were given serious consideration, but ultimately the very obvious acronym KSDA for Seventh-day Adventists was chosen and approved by the FCC. Transmitter KSDA-1 was given its initial test transmission at 2:35 p.m. local time on Thursday, March the 5th, 1987, with a simple test announcement stating, This is Adventist World Radio Asia, KSDA Agat Guam, broadcasting on 11720 kHz. This is a test broadcast. This transmitter began a regular schedule of program broadcasting next evening at 7 p.m. Transmitter KSDA-2 began a week-long series of test broadcasts later in the year, on October the 24th, 1987, and it was taken into regular service without ceremony just 1 week later on November the 1st. Several years went by and 2 more shortwave transmitters at 100 kilowatts were obtained, this time from Continental in Dallas, Texas. And these new units were of models 418E and 418F. Dedication Day for KSDA-3 was May the 16th, 1995. The event was celebrated with a live broadcast in both Chinese and English, beamed to Asia. Transmitter KSDA-4 was taken into regular service in January of the next year, 1996, thus completing the original concept for AWR Asia. 4 transmitters at 100 kilowatts and 4 curtain antennas. And there'll be more on the Guam story in a future program. Back to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Ray Robinson at KVOH. Ray will be back with us later in the program. Now let's go to Tokyo. Here's Yukiko Tsuji with our Japan DX report.
Hello and welcome to the DX report of the month from Japan Shortwave Club, edited by Toshi Otake, and I'm Yukiko Tsuji. The first topic